Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. It's the boxing news edition. Dillian Whyte is finally mandated to face Tyson Fury. They have 30 days to negotiate the bout. I'm here with Rick. Your thoughts, please, on this?
Well, things are moving the way I thought they would. But, I mean, I'm not naive enough to think that this is done and dusted with boxing. But it's obviously, to be fair, it's the development we thought we'd get a couple of weeks ago. Although it does seem to read that they're not even giving any time for the undisputed. I mean, you'd have thought, it feels like that they must feel like that's not going to happen anytime soon. So, yeah, hopefully within 30 days, we either get a deal done or we go to purse bids. My gut feel is that they'll extend it and they'll get an agreement in the end. But it might not be in 30 days.
You think so?
Well, sometimes they extend it, don't they? They say 30 days, and then if both parties say, actually, we're not that far away, they give them another, 7 or 8.
Yeah.
We'll see. But, yeah, I mean, it's the next step of a longer process, and we'll know more in 30 days, I suppose.
And I think Tyson Fury's side will not want it to go to purse bids, is my impression. Or anyway, Bob Arum. Tyson Fury himself might not mind because he'll probably get a bigger purse. But I don't think Bob Arum's side will want it to go to purse bids because they'll very unlikely to win a purse bid against a DAZN and Eddie Hearn because it feels like they've got deeper pockets. Well,
I think one thing DAZN can't compete with clearly is US pay-per-view when it's big US pay-per-view because they would have won the Canelo's bid.
Yeah.
But I think they can compete with UK pay-per-view, and I don't think it would be a big US pay-per-view fight.
No.
So don't get me wrong, it will still do some numbers in the US because Fury's got a presence out there, and it depends where it is also. But I think DAZN could outbid BT.
Yeah.
It just depends what Top Rank can do from ESPN. But it's like, if it's in the UK, what can they bring? So I struggle. If it's in the UK, I struggle to see how ESPN and BT can outbid DAZN. And also, if DAZN is actually buying BT, that might be another factor.
Yeah.
If it's in the US, I still think they may struggle because I'm not sure ESPN could still front up enough cash through pay-per-view.
Yeah. I don't think it does great on pay-per-view in America.
Well, that's what I mean. So, and then it'd be on a bad time in the UK, and that would, So, I would think that DAZN have a better chance of winning a purse bid.
Yeah.
But the whole thing's just going to be brilliant because the thing I not worry about because it's nothing to do with the fight, but I'd love to see that. We thought we were going to get this with AJ and Fury, but it's not going to be. But we also wanted the backstory of the promoters, as well. To see Hearn, Arum, Bricktop all together. That would be great. I hope whoever wins it doesn't almost ban the other.
Yeah.
I don't think Hearn would ban the others because I think he knows it brings value. I could see the others maybe banning Hearn, but then they can't totally ban him. You know what I mean? But it's also it's Whyte's not signed to Matchroom either, so there could be a bit of that going on. But
he's not signed to Matchroom, but he's got a long-standing relationship with them, and a lot of Dillian Whyte's fighters are with Matchroom. So, yeah. Interesting. Well, I think the next couple of days we'll see, won't we? I think we'll have an idea of whether they're going to agree a deal for the fight. What's your take on the whole step aside? Because I mean, this is kind of a moot thing now because obviously the fight has been ordered, and I don't think he can even negotiate an undisputed. This is Fury I'm talking about with Usyk, but they seem to be very vocal about getting AJ to step aside and an undisputed with Usyk. And everybody seems to be giving Fury a pass on this because where was this undisputed? Where was this step aside talk when Deontay Wilder won the arbitration? Still could have paid him step aside money, but there was zero talk of that, and the fight was ordered the next day, pretty much. But now this talk has been dragging on for weeks and weeks about, oh yeah, we want AJ to step aside. We're willing to pay him step aside. I'm like, why weren't you willing to do this when, you know, it's a different situation, but it's the same resolution that they seem to be very unwilling to do.
Yeah, I mean, AJ's weird at the moment. Some interviews very contradictory. He sometimes has done that, and he still talks in riddles. And I just wonder if he knows where his mind is.
Yeah.
Because he said about, you know, wouldn't step aside, but then everyone's got a price almost. And but now that I've seen that the price is 40 million, well, they're never going to pay that. I mean, the Usyk Fury fight does not. I mean, the Usyk Fury fight would generate over 40 million, but there'd be not much left for the fighters.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought if they're paying that. So that's never going to happen. I don't know if that price was named just to almost put it to bed.
Yeah.
And but also I don't know if Joshua's doing a tactical thing to make him seem, you know, maybe to get into Usyk's head a bit of, I'm not really sure if I want to fight, and then bang the fights on, and I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Mixed messages, hard to know how to read into it. Pretty irrelevant now. I think the nail was in the coffin when the 40 million was mentioned anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Well, interesting. Hopefully we'll get the AJ Usyk announcement before Christmas, is what I'm hearing in terms of the date. I think that will depend on where Fury Whyte, if it does happen, where that lands, because they'll potentially be maybe 2 to 3 weeks apart from each other.
Yeah, I mean, I know Fury wanted to fight, you know, latest early March. I think that's going to be a struggle. You might get late March if you can get this over the line quickly, but even that, I'd suspect this is going to fall. I don't know. Things always end up being a lot further out than I think. So I wouldn't mind betting Fury Whyte is in April and Joshua's 4 weeks later.
Yeah. Yeah, quite possibly.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. But we'll see. I mean, you don't know if, you know, the only thing is, and I suppose Hearn's got a bigger connection here, is if the Saudis are interested in stuff. I mean, I hope not in a way, because I mean, I'd love to go to the fight. I'd love to go there. I'd probably pay-per-view. I'd probably pay 100 quid to go to the press conference, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let alone like 300 or 400 quid for a ticket to
maybe
the fight.
Maybe we can get into the press section. We can start interviewing people.
Yeah. We might need a few more subs. Yeah, she started an online thing. Yeah, get us up to, you know, come on, guys, get us more subs so we can get to the press conference. But yeah, I mean, I'll be looking for the press conference just as much as the fight, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if everybody's there.
Yeah, that is box office for sure. One fight that is confirmed.
Sorry, what's your? I mean, we shouldn't get over premature about this, but what's your view on the fight?
Fury versus Whyte. You've got to favour Fury. You know, to a point win. I mean, Dillian Whyte is a nightmare for Tyson Fury. But yeah, I think it'll be hard work, but I think Fury would probably stop him late or win on points.
Yeah.
Is my view. I just don't think Dillian Whyte really has the tools to deal with somebody with the foot movement of Fury. I don't see. But I think it would be a fun fight. I think it'd be a great spectacle. It'd be entertaining. And this is what we want. This is what Tyson Fury, in a way, hasn't really given us. You know, I know that the Deontay Wilder fights have obviously been very entertaining, but leading up to that, we never really got entertained by Fury because he was, you know, cherry picking on the way up, and you know his fights were quite dull at times, I found.
Yeah. I mean, he's entertained us in press conferences, but yeah, you're right. Only the entertainment really started with the Wilder fights at the higher level, anyway. And yeah, what was interesting, I could see a three different results, and I think this is why a fight that can throw 3 or 4, you know, the 3 or 4 different results are the best. So I could see a Fury points, a Fury KO, or a Whyte KO, struggle to see a Whyte on points.
Yeah.
And like you, I'd probably lean towards the Whyte, the Fury points win.
Yeah.
I think people, a lot of the Fury fans will point to what happened against Wilder, but I don't think you can do that to. I don't think you can do that to Dillian Whyte as easily, and I don't think Whyte hits as hard as Wilder, but I think there's more variety and more risk of him getting caught.
Yeah.
But because Whyte can throw multiple kinds of punches, he's got a wicked left hook. He does. His jab is better than Wilder's. In fact, most of his punches are better than Wilder's, other than the straight right, really.
Yeah.
And even the right hook of Wilder's is strong if it lands, but it's so telegraphed.
Yeah.
So and obviously they don't call him the body snatcher for nothing. So there's always the worry that I had for Fury in the Josh fight. There's a lot more coming back to worry about, and therefore it stops you going forward as much. And I think it could be Fury's undoing if he just thinks he can do the same thing. Because I think if Whyte gets him down, he can't probably hold on to Whyte and keep him at bay as much as he could with Wilder.
Yeah.
But having said that, I still lean towards a Fury points win.
Yeah, there's a bigger variety of problems, I think, with the Dillian Whyte. I think Deontay Wilder just does that right hand equalizer, which, like you say, Tyson Fury could see it coming a mile off. Whereas Dillian Whyte is the bigger, physically stronger, natural heavyweight, and good inside fighter. Yeah, I'd be. It would be absolute box office if it does come off. But yeah, I'm still not getting too excited. Let's see if it happens. He could retire. Tyson Fury could go, I'll just retire and then make a comeback, and then because he has actually talked about doing that. He goes, I'll just retire and then I'll just come back with my Ring magazine and then fight whoever's the top dog again.
Yeah, he could go Bruno and do Panto.
Yeah, he could.
One fight we can talk about and get excited about is Brook Khan. Never thought we'd be able to say this.
I know, it was actually quite strange seeing them at a press conference together. I thought after all these years of talking about it, and I've got to say, I'm super excited for this fight. I know a lot of people seem to be kind of.
Do you know what I found funny? Like, I found Heard's interviews quite funny in it because you can see in his eyes there's a bitterness that he never got it over the line.
Yeah.
And some of the things he's saying, I kind of get, and no doubt someone's taking a financial risk on this. Because it is pay-per-view fight still for me, but it's almost like, what are you paying, what you're promising the fighters versus what you're going to make. Could you end up in a loss? But it's just he just says things, you know what I mean, to kind of bring it down. And it's funny, but it also shows his bitterness a bit. Like, Brook doesn't hate him. Oh, they hated each other years ago, but now he doesn't hate him. Well, you don't know that and stuff. But
yeah, I think the reason why they probably didn't go in heavy for it is because the DAZN project is they're playing a long game with it, aren't they? Where this is more of a cash grab. And Sky could make a good profit out of this, and it's more of a Sky pay-per-view fight rather than a DAZN build the story, build the narrative. It's a very different type of audience as well, I think. I still think it does really well on pay-per-view. I think it's a mega fight, and I'm super excited. It does well. It's just
what the guarantees you paid, because that's what Hearn's always said. He's like, you could put this on every day for pay-per-view, and it's a pay-per-view fight, but it's like what you're promising the fighters, what are their guarantees.
Yeah.
Because if you've promised them, I don't know, Khan 10 million and Brook 7 million, does it create 20 million?
Yeah.
Or the 17 you need plus undercard plus expense? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think both will retire after this, even irrespective of whoever the winner is. Do you see any of them kind of taking on another fight after this?
Possibly. It depends on the manner of victory, but I think if someone stops someone early or mid-rounds, I think if it's a war, maybe they both retire. If it's points, if it's tight. I mean, if it's tight and controversial, there could be a rematch.
Yeah.
As well.
Could milk it again for another fight. What's
Yeah,
your which way are you leaning now? If the fight happens next weekend, who would you be picking?
I'm still going Brook.
Really? That's
Yeah, I've never
interesting.
moved away from. I've never moved away from Brook. Though my levels of confidence have shrunk,
Yeah.
I still haven't quite flipped over.
I was Khan in the early years, and then when Brook became champ and he beat Sean Porter, I actually thought Brook's probably a level above Khan now. I think he beats and stops Khan. I think he finds, with his accuracy, that laser right hand, and I think he would stop him. And then I felt like that for years and years. And now I actually would probably swing back to Khan, just because I think Kell Brook has deteriorated worse than Amir Khan. And Amir Khan always stays in shape, and Kell Brook doesn't. Even at the press conference, he looks pretty chubby.
Yeah, he. I mean, it's at 147, isn't it? Is it 147?
No, it's at 149.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
149.
Is there a? That's the weigh-in. So, okay, it's a weird number.
I think 149. Yeah, they'll have gone back and forth on that. I think Brook Khan would have wanted it at 147. Brook, I think, would have been fighting for 152, 154, maybe. Because obviously, I think the higher the weight, the more it would favour Brook. But Khan,
I didn't know that. I actually thought it was 147, so I'm a tad more confident for Brook. But I think
it's £2 though. I think Brook still struggles to make what he will struggle to make 149. I can tell you that now.
No, he will, but he would have struggled more to get to 147.
Yeah,
he just would. But I think I've always had this thing that my view has always been. I would see Khan winning the first few rounds with his speed and that. I just struggle to see Khan not getting clipped at some point, and he's not great after he's been clipped, and Khan would close the show. That's how I've always seen it, and I suppose that's still how I see it. And even though Brook will have slowed down, I think Khan would have slowed down a little bit as well. So it was kind of relative. My bigger doubt that's creeped in is that I did not like the way Brook dealt with that his last fight and that punch, that jab he took.
Yeah.
Because if that's punch resistance, that may be more of a weight factor than anything. Is that because one thing is you could say about Brook, he could always take a punch as well.
Yeah.
I know he's been stopped, but they're usually through breaking his cheekbone than being knocked out.
Yeah.
And these are from big hitters like Spence and Triple G.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going in with Triple G and 2 weights up, you trust your chin.
Yeah.
So I always think that he's had a really good chin, and therefore he'd take some shots off Khan, but he would have caught him, and then he would have closed the show middle to late rounds. I wonder about the chin, and I think that's the bit that I still favour Brook, but that's the big factor for me that shrunk it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a wild fight, but I think that press conference as well. I'd have to say that Khan has got the early advantage in the psychological warfare. Brook seemed to be very kind of like angry in the press conference and didn't come off that great. There's always been that undercurrent of bitterness, I think, from Brook in terms of how successful Khan has been, like, commercially. I found it quite funny, but yeah, I was always a big fan of both. But I think for most of their careers, I did think that Brook would win. But now I'm probably leaning to Khan at this point, and probably by a stoppage. I know I've had I've had some horrific.
I'm feeling more confident now.
I think we should do, at the end of this year, we should do a review of what our worst prediction was, and I've got quite a few to pick from, to choose from, I think. But
I don't think I've got any horrors. I've just got one. I've just got plenty wrong.
Yeah. I can't.
Well, you've got a couple of horrors because you just tried to be too clever.
Maybe you did predict Anthony Fowler to beat Liam Smith. That was one I remember, and I think you picked Dominic Brazil to beat Otto Wallin. I got that one right. Yeah. Can't think of any others, but yeah, maybe that could be a fun thing to do. Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall. That's a week after Brook versus Khan. That's on the 26th of Feb. And then Liam, sorry.
That's not pay-per-view, is it?
No, I don't believe so. And then Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams has been rescheduled, I think, for the end of January.
So the beginning of the year is hotting up now.
It is actually, yeah. There's some,
and then if we can get some of the big boys in March, April, May.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, I think it's hotting up very much so. And then we've obviously got Joshua Buatsi's fight to be rescheduled against Vlasov if that does get rescheduled. Yeah. All right. Any other news, or are we? Are we done?
But I've got 2 weeks of live boxing shows coming up this weekend.
Oh yeah.
This weekend and next weekend. So I'm up the next 2 Matchroom shows in Liverpool and then Manchester. So we'll do some predictions on that. We'll do one tomorrow, won't we?
Yeah, we're going to do a prediction video on Conor Benn versus Algeria, and Lomachenko versus Richard Comey. It's on the same night in the US. Inoue is actually fighting as well next Tuesday, but I think that'll be a routine defense in Japan. And then obviously, the big one, Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora. Are you like buzzing for that fight? Well, you must be if you bought tickets, but
yeah, but I was gutted about because Buatsi was going to be fighting, so that's the real kick in the goalies. I mean, I was quite. I mean, the thing is for me, it's like it's Manchester as well, so it's not far for me to go. I think.
Yeah.
And I think a Del Boy fight is always relatively entertaining. I think they know a bit more about each other now, so they may then go for it a bit more. The first fight wasn't amazing, but didn't have a crowd.
Yeah.
So
that was another prediction you got wrong this year as well. Derek Chisora.
Yeah, not wildly though, because it was close. And there's nothing wrong. I think the thing is that when I've got things wrong, it's been okay, but it's like you've picked people to like win early, and then they've been spanked and stuff.
So, which out of interest, what would you be predicting Chisora Parker 2? Are you going for Chisora again on that one?
I might do,
Really?
Yeah. Because it was very close. I mean, it was very close. He had him down. And I think the other factor for me is Chisora, I think, will be a bit better with the crowd.
Yeah, that is a factor for sure.
But again, it's very tight. I mean, the first fight, so it's a 50-50 fight, or, however you want to say it. Like, to me, like 52-48 or something. So, yeah.
All right. Prediction video to look forward to. That'll be next week. All right. Okay. Let's wrap it up. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Please like and subscribe.